מזמור לדוד, אדוני רואי לא אחסר, בנאות שירביצני, על מי מנוחות ינהלני. נפשי ישובב, ינחני בנגלי צדק, ינחני בנגלי צדק, למען שמו. גם כי ילך בגיא צמרת, לא ירא, כי אתה עמדי, שבטך ומשענתך המה ינחמוני. תערוך לפני שולחן נגד צורריי, דשנת ושמן ראשי, כוסי רוויה. הכתוב החסד ירדפוני, כל ימי חיי, ושבתי בבית אדוני לאורך ימים. אדוני רואי לא אחסר, אדוני רואי לא אחסר.
The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. We gather today to share words of praise, words of thanks, words of honor and affection and love, as we recall a beloved daughter, a beloved sister, a beloved wife, a beloved mother, a beloved aunt, a beloved cousin, and beloved friend, Sharon Schmelzer. Today we're here to celebrate a truly beautiful life and to honor a woman who leaves behind an incredible legacy. For Sharon made us smile. Sharon taught us daily. She always had our back. She inspired us and showed us the right way to live, to treat others, and to give back. She was what we call a gutu neshama, a kind and loving soul, an Eshet Chayil, a woman of valor, a woman with strength and courage, a woman who lived with generosity and love, a woman who lived with sweetness, like her chocolate chip cookies at the ready, a woman who lived for family and for those who became her family. Today we extend our deepest condolences to Sharon's family, to the apples of her eye and the diamonds in her crown, her children, you Randy and Joe and Nick, and her siblings, to Dan and Larry, Julie and Kathy Joe, and your spouses and your children, and to the extended family. Sharon now joins her beloved Jerry, husband of 50 years, her parents, Miriam and David, and all those who have gone before. Today, I'd first like to call up Rabbi Noah Levitt, one of Sharon's rabbis, the rabbi at Ohab Tzedek, Cedar Sinai.
In Sefer Mishlei, the book of Proverbs, the book describes in Eshet Chayil the qualities that a woman of valor possesses. And Sharon embodied all of the qualities that are listed there. As I reflected on this poem, two verses stood out at me as I thought about who Sharon was. Kapa parsalayane v'yadecha shulcha le'evyon, lo tira lebeta mishaleg, ki kol bita levu shanim. She spreads out her palms to the poor and extends her hands to the destitute. She fears not snow for her household, for the entire household is clothed with scarlet wool. The Eshet Chayil, the woman of valor that this poem describes, is a Eshet Chayil because she takes care of all those around her in two ways, just like Sharon did. She takes care of the people by giving generously, by caring from afar, from a distance. Sharon, along with her husband, Jerry, were generous to many, many organizations and shuls throughout this city. They understood what it meant to be civic leaders, to volunteer, to give back, to support. But Sharon also cared for those around her in another way, just like the Eshet Chayil of the poem, who cares for those around her not just by supporting them financially. She takes care of them in a deeply personal way. She clothes them, the Eshet Chayil in the poem, so they are not cold when it snows. Of my memories of Sharon, the ones that stand out the most are those deeply personal ones. The ones that when she called me to check in on me, the way in which she always wanted to know what my children were up to, how the children of the shul were doing, all of those small personal touches. That was truly who Sharon was. May Sharon's legacy of giving back not just from afar, but from in a deeply personal way, caring for each individual around her, be an inspiration for us all, and may her memory be a blessing.
And Sharon's sister Julie has a special reading in her honor.
I read of a man who stood to speak at the funeral of his friend. He referred to the dates on her tombstone from the beginning to the end. He noted that first came the date of her birth and spoke of the second with tears. But he said that what mattered most of all was the dash between those years. For that dash represents all the time that she spent alive on earth. And now only those who loved her know what that little line is worth. For it matters not how much we own, the cars, the house, the cash. What matters is how we live and love when we're living out the dash. If we could just slow down enough to consider what's true and what is real, and always try to understand the way other people feel. Be less quick to anger and show appreciation more. Love the people in our lives like we've never loved before. If we treat each other with respect and more often wear a smile, remember that this special dash might only last a while. So when your eulogy is being read with your life's actions to rehash, will you be pleased with what they say about how you spent your dash? And my sister spent her dash lovingly and unbelievably with everybody.
And our final tribute and words today are from her daughter Randy.
just wanted to say very quickly, it's weird. I was looking at old emails. I save all the old emails I get. And about, excuse me, my mother had sent one to me maybe 15 years ago or so when her mother passed away. And she said, I was in Los Angeles at the time, and she wrote an email quickly saying that she was at Beechwood Place walking around, and she couldn't believe she was an orphan. She said, "I'm an orphan now," in the email, and she said, I don't know what to do. I'm going to go to Nordstrom and get a Frappuccino. I've been thinking about that. I'm like, I can't believe Joe and I are orphans now. We have to go get Frappuccinos. We just didn't expect this week to go this way, and time got away from us. We want to all thank you for coming. I know how hard it was to get out and brave the cold, and please come and join us anytime. We'd love to see you, and please, my mother, would love you to come and visit with us at the condo, and we have lots of coffee and pastries and warm food, and we'd love to hear memories about her and funny things, and I'm just taking comfort in knowing that she's with my dad, and hopefully she's sitting with the dog and telling the Peanut not to wiggle, and and cleaning up the crumbs my father is spilling on himself, because that's the best that could be happening right now. Anyway, thank you. That's all.
Family also wanted me to share their gratitude to the aides and the caregivers who were beside Sharon for so long, who really were more than just aides and caregivers. They were her family, for that's who Sharon was, and that's what you were. Thank you for giving everything to her and giving her more time and more years because of it. Short in stature, Sharon had the biggest heart. She was larger than that and larger than life. Generous and caring, supportive, positive. She was an optimist. Fun-filled, filled with life, always up for an adventure, always with a smile and that Sharon twinkle in her eye. Kind to everyone, funny. Sharon knew what she wanted. She took the reins, the master coordinator. She made it happen. Elegant, for Sharon appearance was important. Always with her makeup and her nails and her hair, her outfit, her shoes, dressed beautifully. This week in our Torah, we read about a very special woman. We read about Miriam, leader of the Jewish people, who alongside her brother Moses led the Israelites through the Exodus out of their hardship and slavery. She taught Moses, who was a child, a younger sibling, just like Sharon was second oldest in the family. She taught him who he was, what it meant to be a Jew. She was his teacher and his guide. Miriam was strong, she was wise, and with her timbrel, her tambourine in hand, she shared joy and gratitude, and that's how Sharon lived as well. And at the raging sea, Miriam stood beside Moses and led the women through the split sea, due to her faith, due to her conviction, and her lasting legacy is both a well of water that followed the Israelites, always providing nourishment and maybe chocolate chip cookies. And also with that timbrel in her hand, she exemplified hope and positivity, and that was our Sharon. And she loved her sweets too. Sharon had an incredible professional career, beginning as a dedicated teacher, first in Columbus and then Cleveland at Ludlow and Shaker Heights. She had a special ability to relate to her students. It was important for her to work with a diverse student body She left a lasting impression on her students, and then as a lead volunteer with Hadassah, making her way up the ranks of leadership to become president. And the group quickly recognized Sharon's gift to get things done, to raise money, her quiet determination and follow-through, her ability to engage with everyone, make you feel heard, appreciated, and valued. So much so that when her presidency ended, the group created a position for her. She became executive director and elevated the place of Hadassah in the Cleveland Jewish community, expanding opportunities for women to get more involved and connected to each other and to Israel. As a great fundraiser to raise more and more money for Israel's leading hospital and medical care. Sharon then served as development director for the Diversity Center of Northeast Ohio, an organization that aligned with her values, her mission in life, helping students, businesses, and organizations to gain a better understanding, to build bridges across the community, and she was an excellent grant writer, again able to make it happen, as we say. And this was the capstone position marking a career dedicated to helping others, teaching, lifting others, healing, and connecting those around her. A Columbus girl, as she was called, she grew up in Bexley. Sharon loved her family, the second of 5 siblings, who remained so close throughout the years. Scattered from Connecticut to Nevada and everything in between, you still had your monthly sibling Zooms to connect and kibitz and catch up and support each other. You looked out for each other, took care of each other, and when your mother passed away, which Randy's talked about, it was Sharon, the oldest girl in the family, who became the matriarch. So how did Columbus girl meet Jerry from Cleveland? Jerry had founded his hockey team, the Columbus Checkers, and moved down with his brothers to oversee the team. Jerry's cousin, Gene Schottenstein, set them up on a blind date. As was protocol, whenever a guy came up to pick up Sharon for a date, she'd stay upstairs in her room and let her younger sister, Julie, answer the door to check out the guy, to determine if he was good-looking, what he was wearing, and then Julie would go upstairs and report it to Sharon, who would then decide if she wanted to change any part of her outfit, or maybe even go out. You didn't tell me that one. Well, when Jerry came to get her for the blind date that was set up, Sister Julie met him first, assessed the situation, and reported back. Jerry was good-looking, dressed nice, but he was bald. Julie went upstairs with a report and told Sharon to change her clothes to better match what Jerry was wearing. And in fact, this Sharon actually told me, preparing for Jerry's funeral service, that when she came down, she basically had a matching outfit. Julie also shared with me that at that moment that he came for the date, she was selling from her Hebrew school Passover chocolates. Jerry, the gentleman, and wanting to make a good impression, bought the chocolates. But what you told me is he said, "I'll take them all." He didn't realize that there were 12 varieties, and he bought them all. From the start, Sharon knew that Jerry was the one for her. That didn't mean she made it easy for him. Jerry was actually dating another Columbus girl at the same time, a Wexner. But Sharon won his hand in affection. And as she was a school teacher back then, she told me that Jerry wooed her, constantly sending flowers to the classroom. Finally, one day, Jerry went to Sharon's parents to ask them for her hand. Sharon had told me that she was nervous, that when he came over that night, she was so nervous she actually didn't know what to do. So she took a very long bath and waited to see what the answer was. Needless to say, we know how it went, that Jerry proposed, and the story goes that later that night when she was home, Sharon dropped the engagement ring down the bathroom drain. And her dad had to fish it out. It was okay. And that the next day after the engagement, Jerry and Sharon flew down to Florida to meet Jerry's parents for the first time. It went well, and they were soon married on June 1st, 1969, at a Gudasachem in Columbus, moving to Cleveland, then later creating their home on Byron and Shaker, where they raised their family, and then their beautiful home on Cedarwood in Pepper Pike. They were dedicated to each other. They relied on each other, even to the point where you heard Jerry would spill food and Sharon would get out the dustbuster. They were always together, bowling, traveling, at events for each other's work or organizational involvement that they cared about. They loved to travel the world, China, Australia, the African safari, which was her favorite, and went back again, Europe and Israel many times. The one was tall and the other short. They simply just fit together, 50 years plus. A wonderful mother, Randy and Joe, you shared with me that you always knew that you were number one in her life. It was important for her to have the family together, to be close and supportive, where you came first. Growing up, you'd come home from school for lunch, and though Sharon wasn't much of a cook, she always made sure that you ate well. As you grew up and took your own paths, you remained close to Mom, taking care from afar or from close. Trips out to LA to see you were very special, to be with Randy, Joe, and Nick, not just to get out of the cold, not just to get into the sun, which she loved in the pool, but most important, to be with you and to eat. Going to the Daily Grill for her seared tuna, and she loved Joe when you would cook for her, and she'd eat and eat and eat. Sharon loved hosting and throwing big parties. She'd pull out the chafing dishes and have everyone over, usually a diverse group, and she was a hostess with the mostess. These parties were giant productions, and she was the director, the producer, coordinating everything. As I said, famous for her chocolate chip cookies, the secret recipe has never been recreated. She always baked them to have at the ready, dozens to serve to anyone and everyone, the mailman, the crossing guard, and in weather like this, Sharon's home was always the first to get plowed in the snow because the plow driver knew that there were cookies ready. She loved taking care of people, always sending personalized birthday cards, handwritten, usually with a check in it, at the holidays, on Valentine's Day, for your anniversary and your birthday. She prepared special gifts for everyone and knew exactly what you wanted. You heard about Peanut, her special dog that she would do anything for. Peanut was loyal to her, and she was loyal to Peanut. In fact, when Sharon would leave the house during the day, she'd put on Animal Planet. So Peanut was not alone. You told me about growing up and taking great family vacations, how your dad would rent the big van and you'd drive together across country. Special trips where Sharon showed her adventurous side, hang gliding on a family cruise, zip lining in Costa Rica with Randy, and how she loved Vegas, especially for the buffets and the slots, where little Sharon would carry those big buckets of coins all around, and her special place was to travel to dude ranches so she could wear her jeans and her cowboy boots and bolo tie. That was Sharon, always up for a good time, with that smile and that twinkle. The last few months, Randy and Joe, you've been by her side, whether it was her trips to California for treatment or here back in Cleveland. We know that that was special time by her side, making sure that she had everything that she needed. You told me you'd listen to Barbara Streisand and Frank Sinatra. You'd make sure she had all of her medicine lined up, always pretzels by the bed, or the sweets, her ice cream. You'd watch the news together, seeing her boyfriend David Muir, and then Wheel of Fortune, where she was quite good. She was very smart and very good at crosswords and Wheel of Fortune. And Randy, you told me just over dinner or meals you would talk and your mom and you would just have great conversations, and Joe, of course, you'd cook for her. Judaism was an essential part of her life, as Rabbi Levitz said, always lighting her Shabbos candles, saying special prayers for the family on Friday night and all those that she loved. And just as Rabbi Levitz said, we are very grateful for Jerry and Sharon's generosity to our congregation. She was the matriarch, as you said, not just when her mother passed away, but for each and every one of you and of us. She watched over us. She took care of us. And these last few months, you have returned that favor, making sure that she always had dignity, incredible care, always feeling the love. You made sure that she was the matriarch to the end. And as I saw her just a day or so, a couple days before she passed away, that was it. She was comfortable, she was loved, surrounded by family, and even able to say thank you. Thank you for everything that each of you did, and thank you for the love. We know that Sharon's going to live on. She's going to live on not just trying to replicate those cookies, but we're going to live on by sharing the sweetness of who she was and what she gave us. May her name always bring blessings, and we say, Amen. We're going to rise now as Cantor leads us in the memorial prayer.
El male rachamim, shochen b'mromim, haמצי מנוחה נכונה, תחת כנפי השכינה, במעלות קדושים וטהורים, כזרע רקיע, מזהירים. הנשמת שרה לאה בת דוד ומרים, שלחה לעולמה, בגן עדן די מנוחתה, אהנה בעל רחמים, הסתירה בסתר כנפיך לעולמים, ותרור בתרור החיים את נשמתה, אדוני הוא נחלתה, ותנוח בשלום המשכבה, ונאמר Amen.
Please be seated. Family will be receiving friends and sitting, as you heard, at the condo at 3 Village, which is 5150 3 Village Drive in Lyndhurst, today from 1 to 4, and resuming from 6 to 8. Tomorrow from 11 to 3, and then at 5 to 7. Tomorrow night we'll be holding a Shiva Minyan service at 6:30 p.m. for the family. And finally on Friday from 1 to 3 p.m. Those who would like to donate in Sharon's memory to elevate and to continue on her name can do so to the Jewish Federation of Cleveland, to the Gathering Place, or to the Cleveland Metro Park Zoo. May her name bring blessings. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes services here at this time. The committal will be tomorrow afternoon at 3:30 at Beth-Olam Cemetery. Okay, and we will just meet at the cemetery if you're planning to attend. Thanks for being here in support of the family.
Because of the weather, the burial is delayed. Those that want to be by the graveside, as Michael said, the burial will be 3:30 tomorrow during the break.
Dates